Hello, this is a quick video overviewing the different ways that iTunes can communicate and share data between the iTunes library and your mobile device. So I wanted to get started by sort of showing the typical iTunes interface when you have your device plugged in, and talk about the three different ways that iTunes communicates with the device and what they each mean, so that hopefully it will be a little bit less confusing and you'll be a little bit more confident that if something did happen to your device, and hopefully it won't, that you'll have all the information that you need, or at least most of it, in iTunes in order to restore the device or get the information out in some way. So typically when you plug in your phone or iPod Touch or iPad into iTunes, sometimes iTunes will trigger some sort of communication, and the one that we're most used to seeing is syncing. If iTunes doesn't sync as soon as you plug in your phone, you can force it to by right-clicking on the phone and choosing sync from the menu that pops up. When you synchronize your phone, what's really happening is iTunes is making sure that all the information that it has, your music, your movies, your TV shows, address book, contacts, calendars, stuff like that, it's making sure that all the information that it has in iTunes is up to date and on your phone. Also, there's a little bit of communication from your phone for the contacts and calendars to make sure that the data on the phone ends up in iTunes as well. Also, two other things that may happen when you plug in your phone that people are a little bit less aware about is backing up and transferring purchases. So sometimes when you plug in your phone, you may see, in addition to information about syncing, it will say that the phone is backing up or that it's transferring purchases. Again, this only happens sometimes, and in order to make sure that your data is secure, you might like to do it a little bit more often. So if I right-click on my device and choose Back Up, it will actually force iTunes to make a new backup of my phone right now. When iTunes is backing up my phone, what's actually happening now is we're transferring data from the phone to iTunes. iTunes is creating an entire image of what my phone looks like right now, like a big giant snapshot. And this is useful in case I have some data loss on my phone. So for example, I don't know, either I drop it and I have to get a new phone, which is awful, and hopefully that's not what's going to happen to you, or I accidentally erase an application that had a lot of data stored into it. I can restore from that snapshot and restore my phone to exactly how it was at the point that I made that backup. If you're not sure when iTunes made a backup of your phone last, you can go into the iTunes menu and go to Preferences. And then under the little Devices tab here, you'll see a list of your backups, the device name, and when that backup was made. So again, if you see this list of backups and you're not very happy with the date of the last backup because it was a long time ago, you can right-click on the device and choose Backup to force iTunes to make a backup. I recommend checking this maybe once a month, because if something did happen, and hopefully it won't, it's nice to know that you have a backup from at least a month ago that's relatively recent. Just to add something to this, in addition to backing up your applications and all of your music data and things like that, the backup also does back up your voicemails from visual voicemail and your text messages. So if you ever restored from a backup, you would see in your SMS log basically from all the messages that were on your phone at the time that that backup was made. Finally, the last kind of communication between your iTunes and your mobile device is transferring purchases. So transferring purchases is a communication where the mobile device copies all the purchases that you've made in either the iTunes stores, either the App Store or the iTunes Music Store, from the device into iTunes. So if you buy a lot of apps and music on your phone, you'll want to make sure that you do this periodically. So again, sometimes this happens occasionally when you plug in the phone automatically. If you'd like to force it, you can right-click on Devices and choose Transfer Purchases. And you'll see when I choose that, a few of the different apps that I bought on my phone get transferred into my iTunes library. This is less important for apps because once you've bought an app, you can buy it again from the App Store for free. For music, when you buy music from the iTunes Store, you only get one download. So if you end up buying a lot of music on your device, you'll want to periodically make sure that you transfer purchases so that you have a copy of it in your iTunes library. So that way, if it got deleted from the phone for some reason, you still have a copy of it in iTunes and you don't have to try to contact Apple to buy it again. So hopefully, now that you have an idea of the 3 different kinds of communication between iTunes and your device, which is syncing, backing up, and transferring purchases, you'll be much more confident in knowing that all of the important data on your mobile device is also on your computer. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment on this video or to contact us at info@deciphered-media.com. Thanks.